My sister made me sit in the garage at her wedding because there wasn't enough space for everyone inside. I spent months helping my sister plan her wedding. But on the big day, she said there wasn't enough space for me in the hall and told me to eat in the garage. I was shattered, but I didn't argue. I was done being taken for granted, and it was time for a twist no one saw coming. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe, and also, drop a comment below. What's one life lesson you think everyone should learn before it's too late? Share your thoughts, thanks. I'm Emma. I'm 30, single, own too many cake stands, and have a bad habit of saying yes when I should really stop being everyone's stepping stone. I've always been the helper, showing up early, staying late, and doing it all out of love. But not everyone loved me back. My sister Madison is one of them. Picture that girl in high school who cried in the hallway until someone offered to carry her books. That girl grew up and became a bride. When Madison started planning her wedding, I was there, every step of the way. Venue shopping? Check. Dress fittings? Yep. Hair trial? Guess who held the curling wand and burned her thumb? I also assembled around 130 centerpieces by hand because she didn't trust florists. And when she overspent on the venue, I covered the photographer. The only thing I asked to do myself was the cake. Baking is my thing. I do it part-time for weddings, birthdays, and office parties. I told Madison it was my gift. She gave me this fake sweet smile and said, "Well, if you insist. Just don't make it too show-offy." "Girl, it's buttercream. Not the Olympics," I replied. She laughed. But I didn't. The morning of Madison's wedding, I was up before the sun. My apartment smelled like vanilla and sugar as I carefully stacked each tier of the cake into my car. 5 layers of lemon raspberry perfection, with hand-piped lace details that had taken me 12 hours to complete. I arrived at the venue, a renovated barn with string lights that Madison had described as rustic chic but not, like, actually rustic. And I immediately got to work setting up the cake. My phone buzzed with Madison's 7th text of the morning. "Where are you?" "Hair emergency." I sighed, made one final adjustment to a sugar flower, and headed to the bridal suite. "Finally," Madison exclaimed when I pushed open the door. "My hair is falling flat on the right side." I set down my emergency kit, bobby pins, hairspray, makeup, safety pins, and moved behind her. "It looks exactly the same on both sides," I said, examining her perfectly styled bun. "No, look." She pointed to a microscopic difference only visible to her. "Fix it." As I worked, Madison's phone rang and her eyes widened at the screen. "It's Jake." "Oh my God, what if he's backing out?" "Madison, chill please." "He's not backing out," I assured her. After a hushed argument, she hung up and turned to me with those big eyes that had been getting her out of trouble since preschool. I need a favor." "The vows." "Let me guess. You need someone to drive to your apartment and get your vows." "Would you? Please? Everyone else is busy with photos and makeup, and you're already ready." She glanced at my unbrushed hair and bare face. I wasn't ready. I'd been planning to get myself dressed after setting up the cake. But I nodded anyway. "You're literally saving my wedding." She squeezed my hand. 45 minutes later, I returned with her vows and steamed a wrinkled bridesmaid's dress in the venue kitchen using a borrowed iron. By the time the ceremony started, my feet were killing me and my hands smelled like hairspray and frosting. But I was still smiling because I was genuinely happy for my sister. "The florist messed up the boutonnieres," Madison sniffled the moment she spotted me. "They're supposed to have twine wrapped around them, not ribbon." I thought of my cake sitting downstairs, each tier perfectly leveled and each flower placed with tweezers. I thought of the centerpieces I'd assembled with bleeding fingertips. "I'll fix them," I said. The ceremony went off without a hitch, if you didn't count the groom forgetting his lines despite having his vows in hand, or Madison's mascara-streaked face when she decided the violinist was playing too slowly. But they were married. Applause, rice throwing, and photographer shouting ensued. I finally had 10 minutes to slip into my satin dress, carefully chosen to match Madison's color scheme, and apply some mascara. As guests began filtering into the reception area, I checked on the cake one last time. It stood proud and perfect, and for the first time that day, I felt a flutter of pride. I made my way to the seating chart, running my finger down the alphabetized list of names. Mine wasn't there. I checked again, thinking maybe it was under our last name instead of my first. Nothing. Looking for your seat? The wedding coordinator appeared beside me. Yes, I'm Emma, sister of the bride. She flipped through some papers. I don't see you on the main floor plan. Let me check with the groom. I spotted Jake near the bar, already loosening his tie. His face fell when he saw me approaching. Hey Jake. Congratulations, I said, forcing a smile. Thanks, Emma. Seems I'm not on the seating chart? His eyes darted around the room. Oh, yeah, about that. Madison said there wasn't enough space inside for everyone, so close family who weren't in the bridal party would be eating out in the garage. Hope that's okay. The garage? Like where you park cars and store holiday decorations. Jake winced. It's set up nice. Tables and everything. I looked around at the reception hall, with its crystal chandeliers and linen-draped tables. There were at least 3 empty seats at the nearest table. Where's Madison? Madison was posing with her bridesmaids, all matching dresses and professionally done hair. Madison, can I talk to you for a second? She turned, her smile faltering. Now? We're in the middle of photos. It'll just take a minute. I pulled her aside. Jake just told me I'm supposed to eat in the garage? Madison sighed heavily. Is that really a problem? We ran out of space. I glanced back at the reception hall. There are empty seats. Those are for important guests. The words hit like a slap. And I'm not important? She rolled her eyes. Don't make this about you. It's my wedding day. I made your cake. I did your hair. I rescued your vows. I fixed the boutonnieres. I've been helping you plan for 18 months. Exactly. You've been helping. That's what you do. You're the helper. She checked her reflection on her phone camera. The garage has tables and chairs. It's not like you're eating in a ditch. I stared at her, suddenly seeing with perfect clarity what I'd refused to acknowledge for years. I wasn't her sister. I was her unpaid assistant. You know what? You're right. I am the helper. Don't be dramatic, she called as I walked away to the garage. It's just dinner. The garage was exactly as depressing as you'd imagine. Concrete floor, folding chairs, paper tablecloths, fluorescent lighting that made everyone look like they were at a morgue rather than a wedding. A handful of distant relatives and service vendors sat awkwardly at tables, picking at dry chicken. More potatoes? Offered a cousin I vaguely recognized. No thanks, Ryan, he supplied. We used to go to the lake together when we were kids. Right, Ryan. I nodded, though I had no recollection of him whatsoever. My phone buzzed with a text from my friend, Sarah. How's the wedding of the century going? I took a picture of my surroundings and sent it with the caption, living the dream in the VIP garage section. She responded instantly, WTH? Are you serious? As I typed back, something inside me that had been bending for decades finally snapped clean in two. I stood up, smoothed my dress, and walked back into the main venue, with a plan. No one noticed as I made my way to the cake display. Madison and her entourage were still outside taking photos. Guests mingled with drinks, their backs to me. With steady hands, the same hands that had piped delicate lace patterns for hours, I began disassembling my creation. Tier by tier, I separated them and placed them in the transport boxes I'd brought that morning. When all the tiers were safely boxed, I carried them out to my car, made 2 more trips for my tools and stands, then closed the trunk with a satisfying thud. I didn't screech tires or slam doors as I left. This wasn't about making a scene. This was about finally recognizing my own worth. At home, I kicked off my heels, peeled off the satin dress, and pulled on my favorite sweatpants. Sarah came over and took one look at my face and the boxes in my arms. Holy cow, she said, helping me unload the car. You actually took the cake back? I took my dignity back, I corrected her. The cake was just the vehicle. We sat cross-legged on the floor, eating top-tier wedding cake straight from the box while watching reality TV shows about people with worse problems than ours. This is actually the best cake I've ever had, Sarah mumbled through a mouthful. Too show-offy? I asked with a smile. Just offy enough. My phone began buzzing around evening, exactly when I figured the cake would have been rolled out for the cutting ceremony. I let it go to voicemail the first 6 times before finally answering. "Where is the cake?" Madison's voice was shrill enough to shatter glass. "You've ruined my wedding." "Oh no. I just took back my gift," I replied calmly. "Since, I wasn't really a guest." "Are you kidding me? Everyone keeps asking where the cake is. The photographer is freaking out because it was supposed to be in all the reception shots." "Maybe check the garage? I hear that's where you put things that aren't important enough for the main event." "I can't believe you would do this to me. On my wedding day. Mom is crying. Jake's parents think I'm crazy." The organizer had to run out and get a sheet cake from the grocery store. "Was it show-offy?" I couldn't resist asking. "You are the most selfish person I've ever met," she hissed. "This is why you're still single at 30. "No, Madison. I'm single because I've been too busy cleaning up everyone else's messes to build my own life. But that changes tonight." I hung up as she was mid-sentence, then turned my phone off completely. The next morning, I loaded the remaining cake boxes into my car and drove to Hope Haven, a women's shelter downtown. "What's the occasion?" asked Linda, the director, her eyes widening as I carried box after box. "Just felt like baking," I replied with a genuine smile. "Thought someone might appreciate it." I stayed and helped serve slices to women and children who gasped at the delicate sugar flowers and intricate piping. A little girl with braids asked if she could keep one of the flowers, because it's too pretty to eat. I carefully removed it and placed it in her palm. "Are you a real baker?" she asked, her eyes wide. "I am," I nodded. "It's my thing." Later, as I drove home with empty cake boxes, I thought of bridges burned and boundaries finally set. Years of saying yes when I meant no. And the sweet taste of finally doing something just for me. Maybe someday Madison and I would find our way back to each other. Maybe not. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting around for someone else to tell me where I belonged. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and others is to cut yourself a generous slice of dignity and walk away.